Ball, William L., Assistant to the President. Letter to Senator Gore. May 8, 1986. Biello, David. Where did the Carter White House's solar panels go? Scientific American, August 6, 2010. Carbon dioxide and climate, the greenhouse effect, hearing before Agricultural Research and Environment, and the Subcommittee on Investigations and Oversight of the Committee on Science and Technology. 97th Congress. March 25, 1982. Coggins, George Cameron, and Doris K. Nagel. Nothing beside remains, the legal legacy of James G. Watt's tenure as a Secretary of the Interior on federal land and law policy. Boston College Environmental Affairs Law Review. 17, Number 3, 1994 173 to 550. Council on Environmental Quality. Environmental Quality 1981, 12th Annual Report of the Council on Environmental Quality. Washington, D.C., 1982. Council on Environmental Quality. Environmental Quality 1982, 13th Annual Report of the Council on Environmental Quality. Washington, D.C. Council on Environmental Quality. Environmental Quality 1983, 14th Annual Report of the Council on Environmental Quality. Washington, D.C. Council on Environmental Quality. Environmental Quality, 15th Annual Report of the Council on Environmental Quality. Washington, D.C. Curley, Dottie, Department of Energy Action Officer. Report of Hearing, Joint Hearing on Carbon Dioxide and the Greenhouse Effect. March 25, 1982. Energy Policy Implications of Global Warming, Hearings before the Subcommittee on Energy and Power of the Committee on Energy and Commerce. 100th Congress. July 7 and September 22, 1988. Fox, J. Edward. Letter to Senator Chaffee. July 29, 1988. Gafter, Rolando A., Federal Offshore Statistics, 1995, Leasing, Exploration, Production, and Revenue as of December 31, 1995. Herndon, Virginia, U.S. Department of Interior, 1997. Global Climate Protection Act of 1987. Pub L. 100-204, Title 11, December 22, 1987. Gore, Al. Letter to the Honorable Ronald W. Reagan. May 21, 1986. Greenhouse Effect and Global Climate Change, Hearing before the Committee on Energy and Natural Resources. 100th Congress. June 23, 1988. Harrington, John S. DOE Secretary. Letter to the President. March 16, 1987. Johnson, Robert E. Memorandum through Ralph C. Bledsoe for Nancy J. Risqué, the Global Climate Protection Act. December 29, 1987. Mitchell, George J. et al. Letter to Lee Thomas, Administrator, Environmental Protection Agency. September 12, 1986. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Global Climate, a Variable and Vulnerable Natural Resource. October 1, 1986. National Research Council. Carbon Dioxide and Climate, a Second Assessment. Washington, D.C., National Academy Press, 1982. National Research Council. Changing Climate, Report of the Carbon Dioxide Assessment Committee. Washington, D.C., National Academy Press, 1983. Office of Science and Technology Policy. Biennial Science and Technology Report to Congress, 1983 to 1984. Washington, D.C., 1985. Ozone Depletion, the Greenhouse Effect, and Climate Change, Hearings before the Subcommittee on Environmental Pollution of the Committee on Environment and Public Works. 99th Congress. June 10 and 11, 1986. P.W. Charitable Trusts the Driving to 54.5 miles per gallon, A History of Fuel Efficiency in the United States. September 2012. Reagan, Ronald. Message to the Congress transmitting the National Energy Policy Plan. July 17, 1981. Reagan, Ronald. Report to Congress, United States government activities related to the greenhouse effect. January 26, 1988. Ruckelshaus, William D., Remarks at Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. June 21, 1984. Ruckelshaus, William D. The Role of the Private Sector in Environmental Action, World Industry Conference on Environmental Management. November 14, 1984. Shadekoff, Philip. Global warming has begun, expert tells Senate. New York Times, June 24, 1988. Smith, Richard J., Acting Assistant Secretary of State for Oceans and International Environmental and Scientific Affairs. Letter to Richard Hallgren. January 27, 1988. Smith, Richard J., Acting Assistant Secretary of State for Oceans and International Environmental and Scientific Affairs. Memorandum to Dr. Ralph Bledsoe, White House Domestic Policy Council. January 15, 1988. Stafford, Robert T. et al. Letter to John Gibbons, Executive Director, U.S. Congress Office of Technology Assessment. December 23, 1986. United Nations. Our Common Future, Report of the World Commission on Environment and Development. 1987. U.S. Department of Energy. Carbon Dioxide Effects Research and Assessment Program, Environmental and Societal Consequences of a Possible CO2-Induced Climate Change. Volume 2, Part 1, Response of the West Antarctic Ice Sheet to CO2-Induced Climatic Warming. Washington, D.C., April 1982. U.S. Department of Energy. Carbon Dioxide Effects Research and Assessment Program, Proceedings of the Workshop on First Detection of Carbon Dioxide Effects. Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, June 8 to 10, 1981. Washington, D.C., May 1982. U.S. Department of Energy, John R. Trabalka, edition, Atmospheric Carbon Dioxide and the Global Carbon Cycle. Washington, D.C., December 1985. U.S. Department of Energy, Michael McCracken and Frederick M. Luther, EDS Projecting the Climatic Effects of Increasing Carbon Dioxide. Washington, D.C., December 1985. U.S. Department of Energy, Michael P. Farrell, Edition Master Index for the Carbon Dioxide Research State of the Art Report Series. Washington, D.C., March 1987. U.S. Department of Transportation. Summary of Fuel Economy Performance. Washington, D.C., December 15, 2014. U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Climate Change Indicators, Climate Forcing, https://www.epa.gov/climate-change-indicators/climate-change-indicators-climate-forcing. U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Can we delay a greenhouse warming? Washington, D.C., September 1983. U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Projecting Future Sea Level Rise, Methodology, Estimates to the Year 2100, and Research Needs. Washington, D.C., October 1983. U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Regulatory Determination for Oil and Gas and Geothermal Exploration, Development, and Production Wastes. 53 Federal Reg 25446. July 6, 1988. World Climate Program. Report of the International Conference on the Assessment of the Role of Carbon Dioxide and of Other Greenhouse Gases in Climate Variations and Associated Impacts. Villach, Austria, 9 to 15 October 1985. 1986. World Meteorological Organization. Conference Proceedings, The Changing Atmosphere, Implications for Global Security, Toronto, Canada, 27 to 30 June 1988. 1988.